Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Welcome back, students, to one of my videos. So in this video I would like to talk about writing a story. Writing a story, it's not that difficult. One of the easiest essay that you can write during the exam. Okay, that is why your brothers and sisters in the previous batch before, I normally ask them to write stories, okay, for their essay writing, because story is the easiest one. It doesn't have any format. So when you are writing a story, you have to make sure that your story is interesting. Okay, that is number one. Okay, grammar is important. Okay, yes, but it's not really that difficult, because you will be using one tenses along the way. Okay, but sometimes you do need to change your tense depending on the situation. Okay, but the most important thing is making it interesting, right? Okay, so you can open your textbook, your full blast textbook, and you can turn to page 32. Okay, here is the page for writing a story. Okay, let's look at here. What's the most dangerous situation you have ever been in? How did you feel? Okay, so something to think about before you write a story. Things that you feel, situations where you feel that you are very vulnerable, you are very endangered, you feel it was very dangerous at the time. Okay, and how would you feel at that point? Okay, if you ask me, the most dangerous situation I have ever been in, I was one of the occupants in a car that got into an accident. Okay, so yeah, it was dangerous, but luckily I have my parents there, so I don't really feel scared. It's just a little bit, I was just a little bit shocked, okay, because it happened very sudden. So think about it. Okay, think about your dangerous situation, your most dangerous situation, and how would you feel at that point, right? Read the writing task and the story that follows and answer the questions. When it is possible, underline words and phrases in the story to justify your answers. Okay, so the question is asking you to read the instruction, the question, okay, and then read the story. Okay, so this is the question. Yeah, an international magazine has organized a short story competition and you have decided to enter. The competition rules say that the story must end with the following words: they were lucky to be alive. As I mentioned before, normally story, the only thing that you need to follow is requests like this. Okay, you have to end the story with a certain word. Okay, but a story, normally a story doesn't have any format. Okay, so let's read the story. It was cold, dark, and quiet for now. Terry and his brother Phil were sitting in the cabin, shaking with fear. It had been Terry's idea to spend the new year in the mountains. However, it was turning out to be a very bad one. Surely it wouldn't be long before the 400-kilo beast would break into the cabin. Terry got up quietly and glanced outside. When he looked at Phil again, he was so terrified he could barely speak. He held up two fingers and whispered, "There are two of them." There was no hope left. Two polar bears would easily find a way in. Suddenly, Terry had an idea. He searched through his bag and removed a small box. Phil immediately understood. Terry had some fireworks which he wanted to set off at midnight, but now was probably a better time. So he lit one and threw it outside. They held their breath. A moment later, there were loud bangs and flashes of light, which scared the polar bears away. "They are gone," cried Phil. The boys were so relieved. The fireworks attracted some locals who took the boys to safety. They were lucky to be alive. Okay, so that was the story. Okay, it's a short one. Okay, but quickly we know that it was very interesting. Okay, why? Because all of a sudden we know that the characters are in big trouble. Okay, remember, like I said, when you are writing a story, you have to make sure that it's interesting. Okay, you have to have something that makes people want to know more. Okay, kalau tulis cerita yang mendata je kan, so orang akan, by the end of it, people will lose interest. Okay, and nobody wants to read your story until the end. Okay, maybe ada cerita yang predictable, okay, yang kita tahu hujung dia macam mana. Okay, for example, like this one, we don't know what happened, because what could happen in towards the end of the story. Okay, so this is a good example. Okay, it's not that long, and it's not too short either, right? It start off with some introduction. Okay, but introduction tu tak adalah sebut pasal Terry ni siapa, duduk kat mana, apa semua. Okay, they just bagi latar belakang cerita tu. It was cold, dark and quiet for now. Okay, so it said that first sentence set the mood, set the tone for the whole story. We know it's cold, sejuk, dark, and then it's quiet, right? Okay, and the characters are Terry and his brother Phil. Okay, so the two characters are Terry and Phil, sitting in a cabin shaking with fear. It had been Terry's idea to spend the new year in the mountains. However, it was turning out to be a very bad one. Okay, so macam saya cakap tadi, dia start dengan introduction, dia bagi latar belakang cerita tu, and then right off the bat, we know that the story is interesting, because they were shaking in fear. It makes us wonder, why are they in fear? What are they afraid of? Okay, so it makes us want to know more. Okay, but if you notice, kalau awak perasan dekat first paragraph ni tak ada mention pun pasal polar bear. They just bagi hint sahaja. Surely it wouldn't be long before the 400 kilo beast would break into the cabin. Right? Dia bagi hint, tapi dia tak sebut pun pasal polar bear lagi. So this is the introduction, ya. You give some information, but you don't give everything there. Okay, bagi sikit je. Okay, and then you reveal more in the second paragraph. Terry got up quietly and glanced outside. When he looked at Phil again, he was so terrified he could barely speak. He held up two fingers and whispered, "There are two of them." You see how they use the details there. Okay, he held up two fingers. He whispered. Okay, he was so terrified he could barely speak. So we can imagine how he would have looked like. Okay, macam mana kita boleh bayangkan macam mana Phil pada waktu tu Phil dia tengok kat tingkap, and then dia terkejut, dia rasa takut, gemetar. Okay, dan dia tak berani nak cakap kuat-kuat. So he whispered. Okay, there are two of them. Ada dua. Apa yang dua tu? Akhirnya kat sini disebut two polar bears would easily find a way in. Oh, okay, so now we know it's a polar bear. Actually, it's not a polar bear, it's polar bears. Suddenly, Terry had an idea. He searched through his bag and removed a small box. Okay, so this is the moving towards the climax. Okay, so how are they going to survive this? Okay, so what is going to happen? Okay, it intrigues you, makes you wonder, makes you feel that whether they are going, makes you question. Okay, membuat awak rasa tertanya-tanya yang diorang ni akan selamat ke tidak kan? Okay, through his bag and remove a small box. Okay, Phil immediately understood Terry had some fireworks which he wanted to set off at midnight, but now was probably a better time, so he lit one and threw it outside. Okay, so in order to scare off the polar bears, they decided to burn firecrackers. Okay, to burn fireworks. Okay, because fireworks are very loud, so normally it will cause the animal to get scared. They held their breath. A moment later, there was loud bangs and flashes of light, which scared the polar bears away. Okay, they are gone, cried Phil. The boys were so relieved. Okay, and then towards the end, the fireworks attracted some locals who took the boys to safety. They were lucky to be alive. Okay, so this is as per the question's request lah. They were lucky to be alive. Let's look at question number 1. Has the writer ended the story appropriately? What do you think? Yes or no? Okay, obviously it's yes. Okay, the writer had ended the story appropriately because the writer uses the phrase that were given, the sentence that were given in the question. Okay, and we know that whatever happens, okay, whatever problems that they were facing, it's already been taken care of. Okay, the boys got to safety, and then they were lucky to be alive. Okay, so the writer ended the story appropriately. Yes, number 1 is yes. Number 2, what tenses does the writer use throughout the story? Okay, so we have to check this, yeah. We have to look at this. Okay, cuba tengok verb to be dia. Was, were, had been, was, wouldn't, would, looked, terrified, whispered. Okay, so most of the story, okay, the writer is using past tense, most of it. Okay, but sometimes the writer uses other tenses as well. For example, like would. Okay, would is not a past tense. The writer also uses present tense. Okay, for example, like in this dialogue, there are 2 of them. This one is a particular present tense, right? So for the rest of it, the writer is using past tense. Why? Because the story had already happened. Ceritanya telah berlalu. So past tense lah mostly. But exception for some parts of the story where the writer is writing a dialogue for the characters. Okay, so because the dialogue is being spoken at the time, okay, takkan dia nak pakai past tense. You can't use past tense for things that are spoken at the moment, kan? The writer has to use present tense. Okay, so maknanya kat sini, bila awak menulis story, when you are writing a story, it doesn't mean that you have to choose past tense as default. Maksudnya bukan bermakna awak menggunakan past tense secara default. Okay, semua awak pukul rata past tense. No. Okay, you have to use other tenses as well depending on the situation. Number 3, what words, phrases does the writer use to link ideas? Okay, this is what we call linking words. Okay, so linking words ni contohnya macam suddenly. Okay, so this is a linking word. A moment later. Okay, it's also a linking word. Okay, so this one we call it linking words. Alright, number 4, why does the writer use direct speech in the story? So direct speech is dialogue. Okay, so the writer used dialogue. Okay, they are gone. Okay, there are 2 of them. So these are dialogues or direct speech. So why the writer use this kind of writing in the story? To make it more real, to make it more realistic, that when during emergency situation, people would probably talk. So what did they talk about? Kan? Apa yang dikatakan? If for example, the writer could just omit the speech. Okay, the writer could just exclude the dialogue. Okay, boleh dia tak tulis dialogue tu pun tak apa, tak ada masalah. Tapi bila tak ada dialog, cerita dia akan jadi monotonous, akan jadi mendatar je. So kuranglah menariknya dekat situ. So bila ada dialog, nampak lebih realistik, nampak lebih menarik ceritanya tu. Right. Okay, so let's look at page 33. Okay, so these are the words that I mentioned before, linking words. Look at the table below, then read the story and circle the correct words. Okay, linking words or phrases: time, before, when, as soon as, while, as, during, after that, after a while, later, soon, then, at first, in the beginning, finally, by the time, at the moment, since, just as, in the meantime, till, until, immediately. So these are linking words that are related to time. Okay, yang berkaitan dengan masa. As soon as. Okay, as soon as he arrived, we went outside, for example. While he was driving, we saw a bear crossing the street, for example. Okay, so linking words that are related to time. Result or consequences. Okay, result or consequences ni maksudnya bila satu perkara tu dilakukan oleh karakter dan telah menyebabkan perkara lain yang berlaku. Contohnya macam the words that you would use is therefore. Contohnya, okay, for this reason, as a result. Okay, for example, if you want to talk about tadi tu, when they are burning fireworks, kan? Okay, when you want to write the story, you can say as a result of them burning the fireworks, the polar bears got scared and ran away. Consequence, and then cause, reason, sebab. Ini semua tahulah kan, because. Okay, they had to do this because they want to survive. Contohnya, they had to burn the fireworks because they want to survive. Okay, emphasis, in fact, actually, as a matter of fact. Ini kalau kata awak nak beri penekanan ataupun memberi maklumat tambahan yang mengukuhkan lagi point awak. Okay, so you will say in fact, actually. Alright, so let's look at another example of a story. So you have to choose between the two linking words that is suitable for the sentence. Okay, Hannah loves exploring places on her mountain bike. However, last month she had an experience she wants to forget. She was riding through the woods, okay, while or during the sun was going down. Okay, she was admiring the beautiful colors in the sky and okay, so as or because of this. Right, so we look at number one first. Okay, she was riding through the woods while or during the sun was going down. So while or during, I believe the first answer is while the sun was going down. Kenapa bukan during? During ni dia bukan untuk perkara yang berlaku serentak, tapi while, yes. Okay, dia untuk menunjukkan yang ada dua perkara yang berlaku dalam satu masa at the same time. Okay, so we use while. Okay, while the sun was going down. Okay, she was admiring the beautiful colors in the sky and as or because. Okay, so number two, the answer is because. Okay, because of this, she didn't notice the deep hole in the ground and fell into it. Okay, but worst of all, her arm was caught between two rocks. Okay, they were so or such. Okay, this one is very obvious. The answer is so. Okay, they were so heavy that she couldn't move them. As a result or because of as a result or because of. Okay, I think this one the answer is as a result. Okay, hasil daripada ni kan. As a result, she couldn't get out of the hall. So, or what? Which one? Okay, so number 5, I think the answer is so. So, she started calling for help. Sebab tadi while, macam saya cakap, dia adalah untuk perkara yang pergerakan ataupun kejadian yang berlaku dalam satu masa. So while dekat sini tidak sesuai, so kita pakai so lah. Oleh itu in BM. So she started calling for help, but there was no answer. Okay, so in fact or for this reason. Okay, so for this reason ni tak sesuai kita gunakan dekat sini, sebab for this reason ni oleh kerana ini, oleh sebab itu in BM. Okay, kalau tengok sini there was no answer and there was nobody around. Okay, so tak sesuai kalau kita kata for this reason. Okay, it's more suitable if we use in fact. Okay, sebab details yang ni dan details yang ni menyokong satu sama lain. Okay, kalau for this reason ni biasanya menunjukkan hasil senang cerita tak sesuai lah dekat ayat ni in fact. So number 6 is in fact there was nobody around for miles. Night came and Hannah was terrified, cold and in a lot of pain. She was exhausted and decided to get some sleep. But okay, so just as or at the moment. The best answer here is just as. Okay, not at the moment. Okay, at that moment. Okay, kenapa bukan at that moment? Antara at that moment dengan just as ni lagi lagi precise, yang lebih tepat dekat untuk menunjukkan yang dia baru nak melakukan sesuatu. Okay, just as she was closing her eyes, she heard a car nearby. Okay, so later ataupun then. Okay, I think the answer is then. Okay, then an idea came to her. Okay, she reached her bike with her other hand, turned on the light and moved it around. Fortunately, the driver of the car saw the light and came to see what it was. Hannah was saved. Okay, so number 1, while. Number 2, because. Number 3, so heavy. Number 4, as a result. Okay, number 5, so. Okay, number 6, in fact. Number 7, just as. And number 8, then. Okay, itu jawapan-jawapan dia. Right, so I hope you understand how to use these linking words. I hope you understand how to use these linking words, because when you are writing a story, linking words apa orang putih kata is bread and butter. Bread and butter ni maksudnya it goes along hand in hand. Okay, tidak akan sempurna cerita awak kalau awak tidak menggunakan linking words. Okay, the story will not be as interesting. The story will not be lengkap, will not be fulfilled if you don't use any linking words. Okay, so you have seen how it is used. Okay, you have also seen how a story was written. Now you have to do it on your own. Okay, don't worry, tapi jangan risau. Okay, sebab dekat sini dah ada plan, and also ada tips juga untuk awak gunakan bagi menulis karangan awak. Okay, so tengok plan dulu sebelum kita baca soalan. Okay, we go this for the last part. Okay, let's look at the plan. Okay, kita tengok apakah plan yang boleh awak gunakan sebelum awak menulis karangan. So when writing a story, narrate events according to the plan below. Ini cerita, bila awak menulis karangan cerita, cerita awak mestilah ditulis dalam bentuk yang telah disediakan ni lah, introduction. Macam saya cakap tadi, perengan pertama tu introduction. Describe the setting of the story, time, place, weather, etc. etc. ni maklumat lain lah yang awak rasa penting, perlu diberikan untuk cerita awak. And introduce the main characters. Macam tadi tengok dekat contoh karangan ni tadi, tengok dekat first part dia ada cerita tempat, place, and also the situation of that place. Okay, cold, dark and quiet. Okay, two characters, Terry and his brother Phil. Okay, time, New Year. Okay, so kat situlah awak introduce kat situ awak ceritakan siapa mereka dan di mana, apa waktunya kan. Okay, kat sini awak masukkan. Right, main part, bahagian utama 2 to 3 paragraph depending on how long you are writing the story. Okay, so biasanya story ni paling panjang 200 words. Okay, so 200 words maximum, maximum 250 words. Minimum is if I'm not mistaken 200 words. Okay, so you have to write at least 200 words. Okay, so depend lah. Kalau 200 words, 2 paragraph for main part dah cukup, guna 2 paragraph. Kalau tak, gunalah 3. Mention what happened, what the characters did, saw, heard, said, etc. and how they felt. So dekat sinilah awak ceritakan segala-galanya. Dekat atas ni tadi cuma intro sahaja. Okay, dekat part tengah ni lah awak cerita apa yang berlaku dari A sampailah ke Z. Okay, and then finally conclusion. Describe what happened in the end and make a short comment. Make a short comment tu macam yang tu lah, macam yang ayat terakhir tu lah, they were lucky to be alive. Short comment lah tu. Describe what happened in the end. So ceritakanlah lepas climax apa yang berlaku. Kalau macam tadi, climax dia bakar mercun. So when they are burning the fireworks, this is the climax of the story that causes the polar bears to run away. So towards the end, after the climax, okay, the two characters were saved by other people and they were lucky to be alive. Okay, so itu plan dia. Intro, main part, conclusion. Very simple. Okay, so tengok tips dulu. When writing a story, okay, always keep the given sentence in mind and plan your story around it. Okay, given sentence ni yang ni lah. Susan will never forget what happened that day. Okay, so cerita awak mesti ada kaitan dengan ayat ni. Okay, so kalau kata Susan will never forget what happened that day, so it's something that can be either good or bad, or something very tragic or something very happening. Okay, so terpulang pada awak lah. Okay, do not change the given sentence. Jangan diubah ayat yang telah diberikan tu, jangan tukar. Use past tense. Use past tenses. Okay, past simple, past continuous, past perfect. Okay, ini kalau awak menulis tentang cerita tu, awak tulis cerita tu, awak harus menggunakan past tense. Tapi macam saya cakap tadi, mengikut situasi tak semestinya awak hanya menggunakan past tense sahaja. Okay, use linking words, phrases to indicate time and the sequence of events, to express result, consequence, cause, reason, and to give emphasis. See activity C. Yang ni lah tadi gunakan linking words, okay, as a result apa semua. So kalau linking words ni tak ada, cerita dia akan jadi satu tone je, dia mendatar je. So kita pun susah nak faham. Okay, use direct speech to make a situation seem real. Direct speech ni dialog lah. Okay, gunakan dialog. Use questions or exclamation marks to make the story more exciting. Yang ni question and exclamation marks ni boleh letak dalam dialog. Okay, so dalam dialog tu maybe you can make the character ask some questions. Okay, and then exclamation mark maybe when something something unexpected happen, you can use exclamation mark. Right. Use expressions, phrases like "it was too good to be true," I couldn't believe my eyes, "I was in out of luck," "unluckily," okay, ataupun "luckily," "it was a real shock," "all of a sudden," "suddenly," "the next thing I knew," "to my surprise," "unfortunately," "without thinking," "within minutes," "I held my breath," "there was no hope left." Okay, gunakan phrases-phrases ni, expression yang macam ni, ataupun awak juga boleh gunakan idioms. Okay, apa idioms yang awak tahu boleh letak dalam cerita. Contohnya out of the blue kan. Okay, all of a sudden maksud dia out of the blue. Other examples maybe you could also include don't judge a book by its cover kan, especially when you are writing. You can use those kind of idioms as well kan, when you are writing the conclusion contohnya. Okay, so that's why I ask most of my students, my previous students, to write a story, because they can write freely. Okay, they can write freely, they can use a lot of things to make the story interesting. Okay, so let's look at the question finally. You have to do this on your own. You have to send it up to me in Google Classroom. Read the writing task below and write a story. An international magazine has organized a short story competition and you have decided to enter. The competition rules say that the story must begin or end with the following words. Okay, so it's up to you. If you want to use this sentence at the end, you can, or you can also use this sentence at the beginning. Okay, so kalau nak start dengan ayat ni pun boleh, nak tutup dengan ayat ni pun boleh. Okay, it's up to you. Okay, so maksud dekat sini, Susan will never forget what happened that day. Okay, so it can be either a good thing, maybe her family threw her a surprise party ke kan, okay, ataupun she got into a terrible accident, that's why she couldn't forget it. Sama macam saya lah kan, accident sampai sekarang saya masih ingat. Okay, so that's your homework for today. Tulis karangan tu, jangan panjang-panjang, tak perlu panjang-panjang, minima 200 words saja. 200 words, berapa perenggan? 4 hingga 5 perenggan. So kalau 5 perenggan, satu perenggan tu mestilah at least berapa patah perkataan? 40. Okay, so 40 kali 5 dapatlah 200. Alright, so I hope you don't have any problems understanding this section of writing here. Okay, this is very important because this is going to be one of the examples that you have, one of the example questions that you're going to have during your exam. Okay, salah satu contoh soalan yang akan ada dalam peperiksaan. Right, so I guess that's it for this video. Okay, if you have any questions, you can ask me through WhatsApp or Telegram. Okay, and also don't forget to do your to write your essay. Right, thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.